No reira, e mohia nei mātou mauna tai mahatanga e pika ki o tipai e o mātou mahi I runga I tarangi Māria. O mātou kaupapa katoa hea tima tātou I roto I tau nei kloriatanga. Maona te panga I awhina I kai tautoko mai ae ni ake ni ae.
Ai, tēnā koe.
Ora tātou.
Kia ora. Tēnā tātou katoa, kia koutou ngā rangatira I tai mai I tēnei, kua tai mai I tēnei ata. Kia koe moko te mea, ngā mihi atu kia koe. Graham, Hilda mā koutou katoa ngā mema o tēnā puari. Kia koe Maria, te mema hou, nau mai haere mai I Wainganui a mātou. Ngā mihi atu kia koe, te rongo ki te kitea, te pānui mai meno me māhia e te whakai tō ingoa I Wainganui a mātou. So nō reira kia koe Maria, just to officially welcome you as the Te Aupōuri board Aupōuri member, Aupōuri representative, no mai haere mai, nō reira, tēnā koe, tēnā tātou. Kia ora. So, tēnā koe George, ngā mihi kia koe, mea koutou, ngā kaimahi o NRC. We have apologies, so as explained, this is an extraordinary meeting because the meeting held on the 22nd of March, we didn't have a quorum. Engari, to enable the progression of the content of our then agenda, we opened and closed our meeting and went into a workshop. So a number of the pieces that we will be going through on the agenda in the minutes, there has been discussion on the kaupapa contained in there, and while discussion, nothing as you would know, no motions or resolutions were passed, just to ensure that we were meeting the requirements of our structure. So apologies this morning. Do we have any?
There was just one.
Just from Teresa Burkhardt. Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Aroha mai me te mana. E hihi anau te wehe a te hauwha ki te kaumātahi I te mea he take ki te, you know, secondary festival, Tautukero Festival, ka mau atu hau I tahi o aku I Ramatu ki reira. Ka pai, well, we'll try and get through the business because I'll to enable us to all be offline by that time. No, haere tonu. So we've got one apology, Teresa Burkhardt. Can we have somebody move and second that, please?
Yep.
Kia ora Hilda, kia ora Graham. Declarations of conflict of interest. I'll take it that everyone's read the minutes and can see if anywhere within those minutes there is a conflict on the discussion that may or has occurred. Pai ana tēnā? Ka pai. Okay, so I'll take the minutes of 16th of February as read. Pai tēnā? Aye, ka pai. Can I have a mover and a seconder for those minutes, please? Graham and Hilda, thank you. Then we go to the financial report. Someone from NRC, Sylvia, you want to take us through that, or Mel?
We're going to put it up on screen.
Yeah, I'll bring it up on screen. Yeah, I won't be a moment.
While we're waiting for that, here no te mihi ki te kaumātua waitai petera I makere mai I
Kia
tana.
ora.
And I kōrero mātou tēnei I roti te hui tera wikira. Engari, ka tino mihi atu ki aia moana mahi katoa ana mātauranga katoa.
Acknowledging
Mihi atu kia koutou
Waitai Peter for his contribution to the board.
I roto I tō
That can
mātou.
be noted in the minutes.
Ka mihi hoki kia koe e Maria te
Mihi
te
to
nāngai au o te
Enrique
aupa
Akondi.
teira nā tātou.
Kia ora.
Kia ora, Hilda.
Ai, kia ora, Hilda.
Okay, somebody from the office can take us through the financials, please.
Yeah. Oh, where's it gone? It was there. Sorry, won't be a moment. Back to my financials. There it is. Too big. Sorry, too big. So just here on the left-hand side, we have, I'll just go up here. So the fund balance, which is $105,602.24. And here we've just got a breakdown of all the costs. So a lot of it is the speed signs invoices coming in. So I've just sort of tried to put all the speed signs at the beginning for the various companies that have obviously invoiced us. Oops.
Oh,
Yeah, and then other than that, a lot of this is just normal run of the mill, the Google software meeting allowances, which what we pay for Te Ahu Centre, and there was a little bit of a delayed payments for when Harmy was still travelling and for the board. So that's what those higher costs there are for. Other than that, yes, I think that's everything. Board travel, yes, that's for Harmy. Board travel and just Te Ahu Centre bookings. But yeah, speed signs is the main cost there.
so I just got a question on the speed sign.
Just bring this up. Oh yeah.
Just in terms of, I didn't go back to look to see whether they are aligned with the quotes that were given by those companies. Did somebody do that, or were they aligned to what was proposed in their costings?
Yeah, it was a little bit over, and I can send it through to you, Chair. I've actually got a spreadsheet that I did, and the one that we got from Richard that he had sent with all the quotes.
Okay, were they really over what was quoted on, or within a couple of hundred or couple of dollars?
It was a bit over, yeah.
Oh, heck.
And I'm trying to remember which ones it was for. I think it was mainly that like the installation was a bit more than he had quoted.
Yeah, and that was the cost that of 16,118, and I couldn't. That's why I asked the question, because that wasn't. Hey Wallace, it wasn't a figure that I recall seeing on any of those quotes. Okay, all right. Yeah, if we could just have a look at them to see how or why there was such a big increase, because we got.
Lisa, that quote, the initial quote that was presented by Richard for, I think, Far North Roading, was amended later, a few days later, because it wasn't correct. It was just Richard's opinion that would have been the cost at the time.
Yeah, no, I recall that conversation, but I don't recall seeing a quote for that price. That was all. And if we received a quote that would for that amount, then pay. But if it's way over that what we saw, regardless of Richard's approximate.
That was just his verbal
Yeah.
quote at the time, but the final quote did come through.
And you recall it being that amount?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I believe it was reasonable, considering the costs of the other contractor.
Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. So any other questions around the finances? Financial report?
Yeah, we're getting low on the money, bro.
Okay. Can somebody move that, or you move it from the office and we'll have a seconder from the board, please?
You go.
Kokoe, Graham?
Yeah.
Hi. Tapai, thank you. The submission to the long-term planning process. Again, I'm going to take it that folk have had the opportunity to read the attached documents. Folk have seen the recommendations, and again at the workshop on the 22nd, while we did not have specific discussions on that, given what the recommendations are on page 10, is there any conversation that folk want to participate or add to those? Yes, Moko?
Ura, tēnā koe te amana, tēnā tātou katoa. No, just in support of this getting submitted through our long-term plan process. What I think Whaia Ori will be great from this being formally submitted through to the respective CEs of our councils is for them to get together or delegate to teams to get together to go through line by line, because a lot of this stuff we don't need a double dip pay because we have the software or the expertise within our respective councils to be able to pick it up, but it needs to get put onto work streams and feedback through this board as the governance board for this. But I mean, heck, that's not my job to do, to go through this line by line, but for our CEs to actually pick this up, work together and say, oh, guess what, we already have budget allocated for this, and it will just be tagging it for this purpose, or we already have this software available for mapping and tagging it to this purpose, or oh, this is coming up within our we'll wait and see what the new RMA looks like so that we don't waste money on a process and plan change that's then going to potentially change. So let's tag it for this year instead, but keep it as a bookmark. All that sort of stuff. When I just went through this list really quickly, I was just thinking, oh, cool. What if we were to pick this up as just the quantum, it's going to get hammered at the table of both tables if we look at just the quantum. But all of the action points extremely doable. It's doing it more effectively, but we need our organisations on hand to be able to achieve them. So that was my 5 cents, but I think it's incredibly appropriate for us to formally submit this through to the chief executives for us to get it all done and then some.
Ka pai. Okay, so thank you, Moko. So please don't lose that recommendation that's just been made by Moko to be added into these that are already been as part of these minutes. Is there any other feed-in that folk want to give before we move these recommendations, please?
Sorry, just something that did come up in while the guy from NRC was giving a report on Caliper, is that we asked the next time he comes if he could give a report on spat harvesting, especially mechanical spat harvesting, but around spat harvesting. That was the only thing that was requested.
Okay, cool. Anything else from anyone else? Otherwise, I'll put that the recommendations on page 10 of the minutes are adopted. Can I have a seconder?
Can we, Madam Chair, add
Your
5?
recommendation.
Yeah, that,
Yes.
that these be not just the formal process, because then it just goes into the mix, right? But that we specifically, because the letter directs it so, but specifically get this in front of the Cs, whatever words you think are appropriate for what the outcome is we're trying to get from this list, not just for our long-term plan submission process, where we'll go there and staff, well, I won't talk for NRC, but I'll talk for FNDC. Staff will look at this and go, we haven't put any budget to this. This will breach our cap. We'll have to take money from somewhere else if they're asking for 254,000 in year one. It's just going to get a no. I don't want a no, want a yes, but it's how you do the yes is what matters. So that's why it needs our chief executives to actually pick it up and do something with that list.
Okay, so all right, let's adopt these recommendations first. So I'm moving these ones be adopted. Can I have a seconder for those recommendations? Thank you, Moko. And then a second recommendation to this piece needs to be worded as Moko's just shared there. That Moko, go. How do you want this worded, please?
Just that what do we call this thing? Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Look at this. I got to Tokoro Festival live streaming on that TV over there because my kura's on in 5 minutes. But we've got
submission to the long-term
the action item list be presented to chief executives for them to implement as part of council work streams where appropriate, or something like that. But I mean, I'm going to follow this up with our CEO, regardless of the words. It's just, you know, that little extra push.
Kapai. So have you been able to write that up, Oriol, or somebody in the office, just so that we can hear it back, please?
Lisa, aren't we taking, isn't this being recorded?
Yes.
And our secretariat can go back to the recording and capture the words that Moko was talking about, and you know how it needs to be elevated up to the CEs, and consideration of the effect it will have on the council's budget.
All right, that's been moved by Moko. That additional recommendation of the action list items be formally put in front of NRC and FNDC CEOs. Moved by Moko. Can I have a seconder for that, please?
Yeah.
Kia ora, Wallace. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carry. Thank you. Okay, if we go to the next one in the agenda, which is the Kalupra update, you can see that we did have Caden Leonard from the biosecurity manager did present at the workshop, and that the discussions that happened in the workshop were iwi support from the board would be appreciated in order to highlight to central government the ongoing work and resources required to support the work. This is Hilda, where you made your comment back to on the Kalupra kaupapa.
We did ask at the end of his kōrero if something could come back about, if he could bring back something about spat harvesting, because we noticed in the LTP and the NRC LTP there was a section 5.2 where there was an exemption from spat harvesting people from speed limits. They had exemption from speed limits. and going into the water, but that really wasn't even discussed at Te Oneroa-a-Tōhe. So, yeah, but also it wasn't just about that, but to get an update about what is the status of spat harvesting on Te Oneroa-a-Tōhe now. Kia ora.
Okay.
Kia ora, Hilda. I did speak with Laws from the Te Ao Kaimona, and he did confirm with me that they do not have any exemptions. They will follow the code as per agreement with the beach board, and so that's how it is.
Can I add to that as well, confirming what Graham has just said? I had a meeting as well with Aquaculture New Zealand, reiterating that speed limits on Te Oneroa-a-Tōhe, regardless of who you are, apply to everybody.
Yeah.
So Aquaculture NZ have gone back to those spat harvested and reiterate the conditions of operating on Te Oneroa-a-Tōhe. Those conditions affect everybody using the beach. They're not exempt at all.
Papai, because I was contacted by the spat collector who collects, miner who collects by hand, and he has, at the last one, said that that's not the case. They aren't adhering to it. So what has Laws suggested, or what are we suggesting that the way to hold them to account for what Laws has said looks like?
Lisa, I told Aquaculture New Zealand that they will be penalised from spat collection and excluded from collecting spat on Te Oneroa-a-Tōhe. As simple as that. If they are not compliant, and especially moving across those shellfish beds, speed limit activity across shellfish beds, if they're found to be contradicting that, they will be subject to a heavy penalty, including being excluded from spat collection.
Lisa, you're always going to get some negative response from some of those spat collectors out there, and so look, bring them to the meeting. Don't let them talk on the phone, and let's hear it out from those people that are involved. None of this rubbish coming. None of this rubbish coming from the sideline.
Oh, okay. So it was the Kalupa update, but we've gone to spat miners, but very much connected. So Paiana Tēnā.
How is that connected?
Because Hilda saw it as the machinery that may be being used in other places, and how clean is it when it comes across to the West Coast. That's my recall of the conversation in terms of connection. Hilda? You're on mute, Ewa.
No, I raised it because it was raised in a former meeting about how there was what do you call those, the references at the bottom of a plan by NRC that said that the people who had exemption from speed on Te Oneroa-a-Tōhe were...
Oh, there we go.
And that was raised at a former meeting. And so when this guy did a quarter about Kalupa, I just asked if the next time he comes, if he could just give us an update. That's all.
Papai. Oriel, you guys wanted to add to that conversation?
Yes. No, look, I put my hand up, but Hilda gave that point of clarity. So Don is the group manager for the Kalupa response, and Ruben Hilda is the group manager for the work that you've been talking about that was in our regional plan change. And so we'll follow up that they come on regularly to update as part of the ongoing meetings through you, the chair. Kia ora.
Ka pai. So Pionegram, the connection was about the speed limits, not what I'd thought was.
Ka pai.
Ka pai. Any other conversation on that Kalupara update and the ensuing conversation? Can I then have somebody move that the Kalupara update be as detailed in the minutes be accepted?
Lisa, I did make a comment on the sediments that are created, during that suction period that they're using currently, and how safe is that? And will those sediments drift through the currents and end up in our space up in the far north? That was my concern. So I'm not particularly keen on how they're doing it. However, if it's maintained in that particular area, fine.
Yeah. Yeah, because he said that machine is jigging it about and everything. Yeah. Then, as in his report, he says a new piece of equipment is being investigated. Melanie Oriel, if we can have him update that at the next meeting, please, around because there's still a major concern about the drifting of that sediment, and as he shared in that workshop, please.
And further to that, he couldn't really justify the cost, the huge cost that's involved in all that sort of development and the way of them trying to eradicate that. Us as taxpayers got to pay for it.
So 2 actions out of that report, please, Kim. So I move that the recommendation of accepting his report be accepted. Can I have a seconder, please?
Not from me, anyway.
Lisa, can I just going back to what Graham said about the cost of that Kalupara and that team in extinguishing the Kalupara, the cost is being borne by who? Can we have some clarity on
George?
The cost, because I was at Rafti over the weekend, we had our Kalupara update as well, and we were lucky enough that 2 of our kaitiaki picked up awards from the National Front about that. The cost of the Kalupara extraction is pretty much being borne by Biosecurity NZ. Current allocation is around $5 million. They are trialling their stage 1 prototype in Rafti, which is the suction dredge. They have a stage 2 prototype ready to go as well that the guy has worked on himself without any compensation or any money from Biosecurity for that. He just happens to be into the kaupapa and wants to do the best job he can by submitting his stage 2 prototype for consideration by the Crown agencies. But it is being borne by Biosecurity. Current allocation is $5 million, 5.1 I think, but it's going to have to be a lot more because the cost on the flip side, if we do not control Kalupara, is a major in the tourism, major in the fishing, major in the aquaculture industry. So, aquaculture alone heading towards $1 billion, tourism up around 900 million or $1 billion previously. So huge costs if we don't get Kalupara under control.
Lisa, can I suggest that it's an ongoing work in progress and that we're not approve anything, but we keep regular contact with these agencies. If they're bearing if ministries are bearing the cost of it, well then, if we are in constant communication, updating us with progress and information on that progress, as George has just shared with us, we need to be kept in that loop. And it's probably inappropriate for us to be approving anything while it continues to be an ongoing work in progress.
Ka pai. Ka pai, all we're approving is his report of that day is received, and the report just talks about the funding, as George has again reiterated where it's coming from, and the report was just about a new piece of equipment. So that's all we're approving, receipt of his report at that time. So I still move that we accept receive his report. It's just receiving his report. And then the second part of it, sorry, Hilda, you tautoko? Or you got an, so Hilda tautoko, that the receipt of the report be accepted or received, that his report be received. All in favour?
I'll second it. I'll second it, Lisa.
Okay. Second, Wallace. All in favour of the report being received, say aye. Ka pai, thank you. Against? Graham's against.
I'm still a little bit concerned about it. So yeah, no, I'll just abstain from that, Lisa.
Okay. All right. So one abstain, whatever the word is.
Yeah.
For that report to be received, but there are some actions to it, which is that the kalupa continued to be a standing agenda item, I suppose. So that the concerns that have been raised in this conversation, clarity and update is given on a regular basis by Don. And then that would...
Because the moment it starts to impact us financially, as a board, as a community, is the moment we put our hands up and change the conversation to be influential as a board across those other ministries who should be supporting the funding towards eliminating kalupa.
Yep. Kapai. So is people okay with the actions that are fallen out of that conversation? Regular updates on our a regular agenda item going forward for the board to understand all implications all way forward on both funding and equipment that is being developed, etc., etc. Pai? Yeah, ka pai. Cool, thank you. And next agenda item is the adequate resourcing and support for Te Oneroa-a-Tōhe Beach Board. There's 2 recommendations in there. Again, this was discussion happened at our workshop. We're on page 17. That 2 recommendations have been put. Any further conversation folk want to add to what was discussed? Carl? Pai?
No, I think we were quite firm in our decision that the request should go firstly back to the Crown.
Yes.
Now, we shouldn't have to rely on the Far North District Council and the Regional Council to fund this whole thing. Take it back to the Crown and get the money out of them.
Okay, so let's move the recommendations or accept the recommendations in the minutes as the first one and add a further recommendation of what you're suggesting, Graham, which was what you had also said at the workshop. Kapai? So can we have somebody move that those 2 recommendations be received?
Right.
Kia ora, Graham, a seconder. Thank you, Moko. All in favour?
Aye.
Aye.
Against? Kapai. Then the action out of that is that it's been recommended or moved, whatever the words are, that the letter for adequate resourcing to the board also be sent to Kāwanatanga, not just our local TLAs. Correct, Graham?
In the first instance to the Crown.
Yes.
And then a copy, of course, can go to our councils.
Okay. Moved by yourself, second. Thank you, Wallace. All in favour?
No.
Against? Carried. You're against, George?
Yeah, no, I'm just thinking that when we send it to the Crown, the list of receivers for the Crown should be the local government, the Minister for Local Government, the Minister for Treaty Settlements, and the Minister for Treaty Relations.
So those
possibly even the Minister for Conservation.
Kia ora, George.
It was the same minister for 3 out of those 4 entities, ministries.
Triplicate, beautiful. Save a couple of stamps.
Kapai. Did you get those 4 ministries, Mel? Go, George, again, please.
The Minister for Local Government, the Minister for Treaty Settlements, the Minister for Treaty Relations, and the Minister for Conservation. Possibly the Minister for Fisheries, our cousin Mr. Jones as well. Oceans and Fisheries.
Kapai.
Our well-loved cousin Mr. Jones. Not mine.
My cousin.
Oh.
Okay, moved by Graham, seconder.
Wallace.
Me, I think.
Thank you, Wallace. All in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Kapai, thank you. Then that was our agenda. We are done, ladies and gentlemen. We are done.
Kapai.
Thank you. Ngā mihi atu kia koutou. I tai mai I tēnei ata. Ngā mihi kia koutou. Haere koutou ki te mātakitaki ngā tamariki I rota te kapahaka moko Hilda mā. Nō reira, ngā mihi atu kia koutou I te rongo te extraordinary meeting I tēnei rā. Nō reira, nō kia koe Maria, nau mai hara mai. Ai he tautoko ngā mihi mai Hilda kia waitai te aupauri. Nō reira, kia koe e whakakapi a tātou hui koa Graham.
Okay, kia ora tātou. Ke taumai te rangi Māria ke tātou e tumatua ka ora o tēnei ke mātou e tukua kanei tō mātou reo ka moimeti whakawhetai, whakakloria o na manakitanga I whiwhinei mātou mai te timatanga o tēnei huihuinga o mātou mo te puari o te Oneroa-a-Tōhe, taino hoki ki tōna kōtinga. Inui tuna hoki kia koe, a te wā maranga atu e mātou I tēnei hui, ke manaki tia mātou a te roa ngāki o tēnei rā, mena rā kei te haramai. O tira, e te matua koe tēnā o mātou inui, e tuku ngi atu nei I runga I te rangi Māria, maua te maanga he āwhina I runga I te āwhina hei tautoko mai aini a kenei ai.
Ai,
Kia ora
kia ora.
tātou.
Mauri ora, tēnā tātou.
Mauri ora, whakawhetai.
Kia ora.